Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be doing a full set review for Paradise Dragona for all 50 viewers that choose to watch this video because, no one wants to see set reviews, everyone wants to see videos about a meme deck that will win 1 out of 10 games. But, that aside, we are going to be doing a Paradise Dragona set review, which is going to be half, roughly, of Supercharged Breaker, which is actually the next English set after Stellar Crown. So, you don't really have to care about any cards in the set just yet, but this is kind of just this is here in the background and we'll need to care about it later on. So, that's fun. But the first card we can take a look at here is this Execute, which has a very good attack, Precocious Evolution, which is a great name for Execute. But yeah, very, very strong attack, just allows it to immediately evolve even if you go first, which is fantastic. Just means that, your eggs are basically kept safe because 30 HP is just pathetic. It still doesn't protect you against Dragapult mid to late game, of course, but, in the early game, it is very good. So, yeah, 10 out of 10 Execute for sure. Then we have a Morlul. Is that his name, Morlul? Looks like he's surviving the apocalypse. Very cute. Then we have a Shinotic with the ability Relaxing Light. Once your turn of his Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use this ability. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. Okay, that's that's all right. I mean, there's like a Married, I think, and Expanded. That's a basic that does this, but it's a lovely artwork though. I do like the artwork. And then Spiral Rush does 60 damage, and it's a flip a coin attack. I'm not sure why they didn't just like have this interact with sleep, but yeah, interesting choice there. But seems like a fun card for GLC. Then we have a Delmise, which can wipe out all your opponent's tools, attach your opponent's active. That could be quite fun. And you can retrieve Pokemon. So, yeah, I don't know why they keep printing bad Delmise. Like, give us a good Delmise for crying out loud. Right, Zarude, what do you do? 80 damage, may put all energy, attach the Pokemon to your hand, do 160. Not quite good enough for standard, maybe in GLC though. Cast Form, Sunny Form. This was a card that infamously got its own reveal, so you'd expect it to be good. But no, not really. It is a pivot, which is nice. You can find with Buddy Buddy Poffin. Sunny Assist does 15, conserves some energy. So maybe actually with a Gouging Fire, if you can power it up easily enough, then it could be okay. But aside from that, I'm not really thinking this is a good card. Then we have a Simseer, which is just depressing. Flip 2 coins, does 70 damage for each heads. I mean, 140 isn't terrible if they drastically decrease the HP all of a sudden, but I just don't see them doing that. Like, I do think the next mechanic will go back up to 340 HP, in my opinion, so I just don't see this attack ever being that good, which is a bit of a shame. And again, it's alright in GLC, but definitely not standard. Blazing Support, 100 damage. If your opponent has 4 or fewer prize cards remaining, this attack does 70 more. So you can do 170. That might be alright in Lost Box, actually, if we ever get some very, very good Metal Pokemon. But aside from that, nothing too crazy there. We have a Cryogonal, which is boring. Although Polaris for 1 energy can be quite nice. It is a coin flip, but, for 1 energy, it's something worth bearing in mind. Then we have a Black Karmi X, which has a really funny attack, Ice Age. And it's really funny because there's no end Pokemon out yet. There's just not. I'm not really seeing anyone talk about this, but yeah. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an end Pokemon, it is now paralyzed. Yeah, there's no end Pokemon until owner's Pokemon release in the TCG, which is as early as next year, but that's still like a way off yet. So yeah, it's a card to bear in mind for later on. If we get some more broken ends Pokemon, then you could pick up one of these, I guess. But yeah, interesting choice. Then Black Frost does 250 for 2 water, 2 colors, and it does 30 to itself. So nothing too crazy outside of Ice Age, but again, not really useful right now. Then we have a Bruxish, which when it gets damaged, your opponent takes 30 damage to the face, which is quite funny, but sadly it's not very good otherwise. But again, more of a GLC thing. Then we have a new Quaxline. Up tempo. Once your turn, you may put a card from your hand onto the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. So it is better than Bibarel, but you're also a stage 2. So, not a stage 1. If this was a stage 1, then, better Bibarel, but it is not. So unless we get a way to cheat out all these stage 2s into play, then I don't see this seeing any play, unfortunately, which is a shame. But, maybe as a budget version of Pidgeot, could see play as that. But, aside from that, not very good, sadly. Then we see a Satitan with the ability Sturdy Body. It says, this Pokemon takes 30 less damage from attacks, and then Dangerous Mouth does 150 for a whopping 4 energy. So yeah, I probably wouldn't use this card if it was 3 energy. The fact that it's 4 is just like, why do you exist, basically? We have a Smutchums with the attack Happy Kiss. Search your deck for 2 basic psychic energy cards, attach it to your benched Pokemon, sorry, in any way you like. Free retreat, 30 HP, it's a baby Pokemon, of course, but yeah, it's nice to see Smutchums actually back in the TCG. Been a long time coming, actually. But yeah, very nice card. Might be alright in GLC, actually, but for standard, again, bit too slow, a bit too fragile. Latias EX, you're quite interesting, actually. 210 HP Psychic with the ability Skyline. Your basic Pokemon have no retreat cost. Lovely. Do love this ability. Aside from that, it's not really offering anything. Retreat cost 2 is a wee bit annoying to work with, and Eon Blade is pretty trash, but the ability is good. The ability is definitely good. Latios, 50 Snipe to one of your opponent's Pokemon, pretty generic. No Latias, no Latias single prize, and no Latios EX. That's an interesting choice for sure, but okay. Tapu Lele with Mental Crush, 90, and then if your opponent's active Pokemon is confused, it does 90 more. I think there's actually like a Slurpuff or something that's Psychic type that inflicts confusion with an attack, so yeah, maybe there's some synergy there in GLC, but for standard, not really seeing anything for this. We've got a new Flittle, because why not? A new Espathra, which can do what TM Devolution does, but it's a stage 1, so why on earth will you ever play this card? But okay, maybe in GLC, but it's just better Espathras at that point. We've got a Gimme Ghoul, which can find you more energy. Lovely, but there's like a million other Gimme Ghouls in standard that are really good, so not sure we needed another one. We've got a Trapinch. Quite a good attack, actually. Call for friends, search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. That's quite a nice attack to have. We've got a Vibravra, which can, the defending Pokemon takes 50 more damage from attacks. Okay, that could be quite useful, just because it's not just your attacks are doing 50 more damage, it is just the defending Pokemon. So actually, I quite like that attack. It's nice to have on a stage 1. Then we've got Flygon EX, which is indeed a fighting type. And it's a Terra type with the attack Stormbug doing 130, and you can switch it to the bench, okay. And then Periodic Sonic for a water fighting metal does 100 damage to each of your opponent's EX and Pokemon V. So a very fun attack, but sadly Terra Pokemon are very popular right now, and Terra Pokemon have built-in bench barrier. So not really sure this will be very good. Although, having said that, if your opponent has like a Pidgeot, a Rotom, Pheasantipity, stuff like that in, then you could take all 6 prizes in one go with this, which is the plan, I guess. Just like use Stormbug, switch into Mimikyu, then build up energy on the bench. I guess that's the plan here, but aside from that, I'm not really seeing anything too crazy from this Flygon, but, something for, well, not actually something for Ready Drago, because it's not a dragon type, but yeah, an interesting card though, nonetheless. Then we have a Drillbur and a fighting type Exadrill, which is nice to see. Drill Smash does 60, and if you have any bench metal Pokemon, this attack does 80 more damage. Sadly, I don't think this is going to be strong enough, but a fun card maybe. We've got a Passimian, which does 20 damage for each of your benched Pokemon in play. Each of your basic Pokemon in play, sorry. Flamigo has the same attack, I think, and does 20 damage base. So I'm not sure why we needed this card, but, fighting type GLC, I guess, gets a new attacker. We've got a Landorus, which can accelerate energy to itself just to do 130 for 4, which is, a choice to say the least. Not really sure why this doesn't, inflict paralysis on a coin flip or something. They could have given us something a bit more to make it interesting. But yeah, Landorus, once again, getting a bad card. Then we have a Grapploct, which does 130, and if this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, it can be used for a fighting energy, which is quite nice. If we ever get a way to inflict damage counters, that's pretty decent damage, definitely okay in GLC. Then we have a Skarmory, which does 50, and during your opponent's neck, why am I reading out this card? We've got a Klefki, discard 1 card from your hand and draw 2. Okay, this is an interesting card. This is what's this background actually? That's really cool. The background's lovely, actually. I love the artwork. But aside from that, this is like a theme deck card and nothing else. We've got a Duraludon, which sadly can't be interesting anymore because we got an Archaludon. And Archaludon EX, 300 HP is a lot for a stage 1 2-prize Pokemon. Has the ability Alloy Build. Says when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may attach up to 2 basic Metal Energy cards from your discard pile to your Metal Pokemon in any way you like. Really nice ability. Definitely some nice energy acceleration for metal types and also just colors types in general. So that's quite cool. Then Metal Defender does 220, and during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness, so doesn't actually get a downside, does a lot of damage, built-in energy acceleration. Yeah, I could definitely see Archaludon being a deck to try out. Then we also have Goldengo. Has one of these, if it evolves this turn, it does more damage, and then Surf Return, you may shuffle this card and hold card statue back into your deck. So definitely more of a GLC piece, but aside from that, nothing too crazy. We have an Iron Crown, which is just like another metal type Pokemon for GLC, really. Deleting slash 40 if your opponent has 3 or more bench Pokemon. Attack does 80 more. 120, really, in this day and age? Bit rough. Lowland Executor EX does 300. Well, I guess you can buff this with Future Capsule and Iron Crowns, but aside from that, it's nothing crazy. Then we have the Alolan Executor Terra Pokemon EX. Hell of a title, but Dragon, 300 HP, no weakness, which is quite high. Has the attack Tropical Fever, does 150, and you choose any number of basic energy cards from your hand, attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. Very, very fun attack, actually. Could see this being paired up with a lot of different things and expanded. You also have Swinging Sphere, I think that's pronounced, for a grass water fighting. Flip a coin if heads, knock out your opponent's active basic Pokemon. If tails, knock out one of your opponent's benched basic Pokemon. So that could be quite nasty, actually. You know, just take 2 prizes if you flip tails. I mean, if your opponent's active as an evolution, of course, you would just stick with Tropical Fever, which isn't, you know, it's 2-shotting some things, but not everything. It's an interesting card, though, at the very least, right? You know, I'll give it points of being interesting, but not sure how crazy this card is, really. Then we have an Altaria, which exists. We can move on. Dialga. Search your deck for 2 cards, put those cards on top of your deck in any order. Not sure I'm a fan of that, really. I'd rather just have them straight to the hand. Buster Tail does 160. Yeah, it's actually pretty solid damage for GLC. Got Palkia, Space Crush, doing 40 for each basic energy attaches Pokemon. Yes, I could see this being a fun meme deck with Baxcalibur, actually, but aside from that, again, nothing too crazy. More of a GLC card. Turtonator, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon EX. I don't think that's nearly enough, not when things like Charizard exist. Doesn't seem to be doing enough damage. Then we have an Applin, which is quite bad, actually, compared to a lot of the other Applins, but I'm not sure. Have we seen many Dragon-type Applins, or have they just been grass? Not sure about that. Yeah, we've got Flapple, which does 20 damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. That's quite nice. I do like these attackers, even though they're never good and they don't see any play, but they are nice to have around in case we do have a good 2-KO format. But sadly, I don't think the format really lends itself to these kind of attacks, which is a shame, but, you know, at least it's pretty playable, right? Then we've got Appleton, which stops your opponent from attacking. So I guess the whole idea here is we just do 50 repeatedly and then, like, come in with a big finishing move. But, yeah, it could be quite a fun meme deck to try out. Then we have Swablu for the Altaria revealed earlier. Then we also have Bravery, which is not worth reading. Then we have, was that another Bravery? Or was that Bravery just here twice? I think that's just here twice. Then we have Silazar EX, 210 HP, Terra-type, colorless Pokemon. Has 2 interesting moves, actually. The first one for 3 colorless does 130, and then 30 to 1 opponent's bench Pokemon. That's actually kind of solid. And then Zycron Road for a Grass Fire Psychic does 180, and then you may draw 5 cards. So a pretty interesting card, actually. I do like the idea of this in Lost Box, just because you get to draw so much off of it. But, you know, Iono is still very much in the format, so not really sure if this has too much of a place outside very niche uses. But it is an interesting card, you know. It's definitely got some interesting applications for sure. Then we get onto the trainers, because the Pokemon really didn't take too much time. We've got Helper Bell. You can only use this card only if you go second, not only on your first turn, which is a bit rough, and then you search your deck for supporter card. Yeah, I'd rather just play Luminion. I know Luminion is a 2-prize liability, but you have to find this on the first turn of the game going second. You know, it's a bit awkward. We've got Dusk Ball, which is essentially just Great Ball, but in reverse, so it goes to the bottom of your deck. Interesting, I guess, but not really sure there's much of a point to this existing when Great Ball doesn't see that much play, but, you know, it's an interesting Pokeball for the binder, though, and maybe there'll be a Pokemon that has good synergy with it in the future. Then we have Disruptive Letter. Your opponent counts the cards in their hand, shuffles them, and puts them on the bottom of your deck. Then your opponent draws that many cards. This is a really annoying card. I don't think it's particularly strong, But if you know what your opponent has and you're just like, okay, you're preparing for this elaborate combo next turn, like a God of War player maybe, you could disrupt them quite nicely with this. So it's a fun card, but I'm not sure how how effective it would be really. Then we have Megaton Blower, which is a big middle finger to Lugia. Discard all Pokemon 2 cards and special energy attached to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and discard any stadium card in play. Interesting, but I don't think it's actually good enough to be an ace bag. I don't think tool cards and special energy are really dominating the game right now. Maybe they will someday, and this will be broken, but right now, I honestly don't think Lugia is that much of a threat. I don't think this card is particularly great. Got Dragon's Potion, heals 60 damage from your active Dragon Pokemon. Executor has 300 HP base, so there's definitely an argument here where you could just sit there and heal them, so that's quite nice. Do like the idea of that. Also with Regidrago and Dragapult, we have Passo Berry. Whenever this Pokemon this card is attached to is damaged by attacks from your opponent's water Pokemon, this Pokemon takes 60 less damage from that attack, and then discard this card. So I'm guessing this is kind of like an anti-Palkia card for a Stellar Crown meta, which is kind of fun. I'm not sure if it's that much worth it, but really, as a one-off, maybe it's decent. But aside from Palkia, I don't think Chien-Pao is going to be doing anything anytime soon. So yeah, it's definitely a Palkia Ares Zero kind of counter, but interesting card though. We've got Counter Gain, which is a nice reprint. Love this for single price decks. We've got Drayton. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon and a trainer card you find there and put them into your hand. Bit niche. Not sure I'm a fan of this. I mean, it's nice that you can get any trader cards. You could get a tool card or a stadium or something, not just an item. But aside from that, it's really just a glorified Great Ball and maybe a better Arven. But I'm not sure really. I feel like this could be good in something, but nothing's immediately coming to mind. Then we've got Surfer. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you do, draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. That's quite nice. Kind of reminds me of Birdkeeper in a way. Switch your active with your bench, then draw 3. I don't think this is as strong as Birdkeeper was, just because Birdkeeper was a guaranteed draw 3. This is, you have to have a lower hand size, but considering this is Switch plus B-Barrel, I don't think this card is terrible, actually. I do think Surfer could have some nice uses here and there. Then we have Drasna. Shuffle your hand, your deck, flip a coin. If heads, draw 8. If tails, draw 3. That's pretty brutal, not going to lie. Not sure anything wants to play this, really. There might be something that could get away with having low hand sizes, but not really seeing anything with that. Then Lisa's Appeal. Surprised they didn't do something for Dragons or Terras with Lisa, but or Lycia's. Switching one of your opponent's benched basic Pokemon to the active spot, the new active Pokemon is now confused. Okay. Maybe in a Raging Bolt meta, this would be really good, but aside from that, I actually don't think this is a particularly great card. I know that there's some decent uses out there, but maybe it's one of those situations where if there's enough basics in the format, it's worth it to play like a split of Boss and Lycia, but as of right now, I don't think there's enough basic decks really in the format. Got Rich Energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides colorless energy, and when you attach this card from your hand to a Pokemon, draw 4 cards. Oh, okay. I mean, why? This was like, it was either this card or a very similar card. I kind of looked at it and was like, why is this an ace spec? It's like, draw 4. Okay, that's cool and everything, but it doesn't really do much for the game. It's just like giving you more draw power. It's not really giving you more flavor. It's something. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this set, to be honest. I mean, I love the art rares. Like some of these are beautiful. I love some of the Pokemon. I love some of the trainers, but really, I feel like they could have done a bit more with this set, as in, focus a bit more on the whole dragon thing, because if you hadn't told me this was a dragon set, I would have just assumed it was a generic set, right? We've got how many dragons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 dragon Pokemon doesn't feel like a lot, I would expect there to be a bit more, and I don't feel like there's any trainer support for dragons aside from the potion, which is a good card, I definitely think the potion will see play, but aside from that, there's really not any dragon support. Like, I would have thought the Rich Energy would help dragons in some way, but yeah, it's an interesting set, but I'm not sure I'm a massive fan of it. Bit disappointed, to be honest. I thought they'd do more with this one for sure. But yeah, I guess this has been our power. Let me know what you think about Paradise Dragona down below. Are you excited for this set? Is there any cards that really stand out to you? But yeah, hope you'll have a nice day. And yeah, thank you for watching.